Right, so here it is. This is the new MAKERSPACE. I'll just take you inside and give you an idea of what I want to do. But I'm always open to suggestions. If anybody's got anything they suggest I do that I haven't thought of, please let me know. It's 3 metres by 4 metres, so it's 3 metres down this side, 4 metres across the back, and then 3 metres down this side. And then at the front, I've got the glass door and the glass double doors. Could have gone with a single door, but it does mean that I've got extra wide room for carrying desks or whatever in or out, should I decide to change things. Now my theory is socket wise, I'm going to have, I'll put a batten across, let me just get back so you can see the whole of the wall, okay. So I'm going to put a batten across there and a batten across there and have a double socket there and a double socket there, okay. Then I'm going to go to the back wall and have a batten across there and across there with a double socket, double socket, double socket, and then the same on this side, the batten running there, across there, and a double socket and a double socket. They will of course all be for the printers and the computers. I was thinking about on this window side, if I put a batten across towards the bottom and put maybe a double socket on that side and a double socket on that side for heaters or coffee machines for saving me walking the 100 yards back to the house. But that's undecided yet. Lighting wise, I'm just going to put single switch there, which will then, cable will run up, round, up, and then I'm going to fit, sorry lost the focus, an LED strip light across that beam and an LED strip light across that beam. So if we look from here, and I can get the focus back, it will be that beam and that beam with an LED strip light down each one. That, because they're at an angle, will bring the light down this way, and that one will bring the light down this way, which should give me a good amount of light across the whole room. Because I intend on doing my videos in here as well, because it's going to be my only space, I need to kind of make sure it's bathed in light, and I think these LED strip lights, which take away from the tube strip lights, are probably the best bet, unless somebody has a better idea. So down the two side walls, the two side 3 metre walls, I've got some 2 height shelving at the moment, so I've got a bottom shelf there and a second shelf there. I'm considering going 3 height and using the bottom section for storage, and then having a shelf about there with a printer on, and then a shelf about there with a printer on. So the 2 printers at the top 2/3 and the bottom third is for storage, like filament, stuff like that. So I'll have one down that side that will take 4 printers, one down that side that will take 4 printers, and then somewhere across the back here I want something that's big enough that I can put the i3 Mark III, whether it's directly in the middle or slightly off to one side, and then when I get a chance and I speak to Tom, I want his SDL files for the wall mounted spool holders, and they will go above, sort of maybe there, and then the printer will sit there, which negates the need for a long desk to get the spools behind, because they'll be raised up. This will all be king spanned out, 50mm king span between each of the beams, and the roof I'll either do king span or I'll do the foil backed, sorry, focus is terrible in here, it's because of the lack of definition I suppose. You do the foil backed stuff for the roof, and then I'm not sure whether I'm going to do tongue and groove boarding, or whether I'm going to do like an MDF tongue and groove copy, which I'll then paint probably white, or just hardboard, which I'll then paint white. I'd like to go for the tongue and groove, but it is expensive and it's an awful lot of cutting up. If you get tongue and groove look MDF boarding, it's a lot easier to paint, and the other thing with it is that when it expands and contracts in the heat, it doesn't crack, so you don't need to recork all the gaps. So that's my theory for that. Internet wise, I will be bringing my 4G Wi-Fi modem up in the not too distant future and test the best spot for a signal. I would think probably it will sit above the door up there, or it will sit in the apex up there, and then I intend on running Cat5 down, straight down to the desk that will be in the side here, and then another Cat5 down to that wall, and another Cat5 down to that wall, and then have probably a 4-port hub there, a 4-port hub there, and a 4-port hub there. So I can then directly wire the 4 machines. Should I set them all up with Octoprint, they can all be hardwired. The same on that side, and then whatever I have there, my PC, my laptop, whatever, still have Wi-Fi in as well, because the router will do Wi-Fi as well. But that gives me ability to be completely separate from the rest of the world. The only thing I haven't got in here is water, but that's not a big issue because I've got a water tap about 10 foot away should I ever need one. I'm probably going to mount the fuse box externally. Probably come round here. The fuse box will probably go on the rear here. Get an external consumer unit which will sit on that wall there. I have all the cabling in place behind this fence here, because I've got to run power into it, and then I've got to run a separate feed back, because over here behind the hot tub, which is where we're pulling the supply from, I have a socket there which I need for the hot tub pump for taking the water out the hot tub at speed. So I've got to trace a cable back from the shed back to there to give that power as well. So basically my cabling is coming out of the house there, where you can see the 2 lines coming down. It's coming underground to there. That one's going into the hot tub, and then the cable runs along there, around and up there, and up to the shed. And like I say, there'll be a second wire coming back, which will then be for that socket. It's a 63 amp supply going in, so I've got plenty of electricity. I shouldn't have any issues at all. Thank goodness that most machines run on 12 or 24 volt, which is brilliant because it's not a massive draw. So that's a basic look round. If anybody has any ideas, concerns, thoughts, clever designs that they've come up with that they'd like to suggest, by all means do. Flooring wise, I did think about a laminate floor. I did think about the click together laminate flooring, but as you can hear, it's very echoey in here. It's a very watertight space, so I may well go for a carpet of some description, a very tight pile carpet, but it's a little bit better. It means I can come in and take my shoes off and just, have a nice floor to put my feet on. I'm not going for underfloor heating or anything ridiculous like that. I think it's going to be fairly warm in here with the machines anyway, but I'm considering also a couple of small, where I'm putting that double socket there, maybe a couple of small panel heaters there with thermostats on, which will keep the room at a constant temperature, thus meaning that I shouldn't have any issues with moisture and the filament issues that come with that. But there you go, there's just a quick look around the new makerspace that I'm going to have to move into shortly. I'm going to do some rudimentary work, I think, probably today. My only other thing I was considering, and I don't know what people's thoughts are, if I was going to have my printers on these 2 walls and set them up with Raspberry Pis, is it worth getting the double sockets that have got the double USB in them, which then means I can just run a USB cable straight out the socket, straight into the Pi, or into anything else that's 5 volt, that uses 5 volt USB, rather than having to use one of the sockets for a transformer. I want to try and stay away from having extension leads as much as possible. I'd rather have too many sockets on the wall and half of them not being used than have to have extension leads all over the place, because that's just untidy and it's not as safe. So that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers. Bye bye.